Hi everyone and welcome back. It's Mindy with Mindy Eggen Design, and today I'm going to be creating a few cards where I will be stenciling on top of some alcohol inked backgrounds. So I do have 3 cards to share in the end of all of this. A couple of them I will be making on camera here today, and that is using products from Tailored Expressions. First, we're going to make our background. So this is taking a look at the Nordic Snowflake stencil from Tailored Expressions. I'm working on top of a glass media mat because I do find it is a lot easier to clean up working with alcohol inks using a media mat. I have some YUPO paper that I'm working on, and what I'm doing here is just grabbing some alcohol inks. I have 3 colors that I'm placing up there ready to be used. This is isopropyl alcohol 91%. I will have this linked down in the video description below. And what I do is I have this type of eyedropper pipette type of thing that I actually use for my essential oils. And I put some alcohol all over my background, and then I'm going to come in and just squirt down some of those different colors of alcohol ink. So what I'm using is Amethyst, Mermaid, and Pool. And I'm going to just tip my paper. That is all I'm going to pretty much do when it comes to mixing these alcohol inks. When you're using that isopropyl alcohol, it does make this a really smooth blend. And it does kind of also mute the colors down a little bit. They don't come out as vibrant. And that is what I wanted. I wanted some beautiful colors, but I didn't want them to take over the entire card. So I just add the alcohol ink and I'm moving this around. I do bring in a paper towel to catch that excess alcohol. When you're using that isopropyl, it kind of thins it down, so that's how it kind of moves so much. So I'm just using that paper towel to catch that extra alcohol, and I just keep moving this until I get a blend that I'm looking for. And I just continue adding in the isopropyl alcohol, a little bit more colors. I wanted to bring some of the purple out a little bit more. And you can see I'm also wearing some rubber gloves. That's just to protect my fingers, so I'm not wearing alcohol inks for the next 3 days. So that's just my personal preference. And when this dries, you're not going to see all of those marks on there. That's kind of the fun thing about using the isopropyl alcohol versus the blending solution, is you're not going to see all that. So I could come in with my paper towel, I could dab this up all over the place, and it's going to set back when it dries. So I just continue moving this around. I do have another background that I'll create off camera, and I do the exact same thing. The fun part about alcohol inks is no background is ever going to look completely the same. It's just a matter of how much color you put on there, how you move it around. That's to me the real fun part of using those alcohol inks. And I wanted to show you this. I'm just cleaning up my glass mat here after I replace the caps on my bottles. I'm just using some hand sanitizer and a paper towel to clean this up. And it'll be spick and span new to use again. Once my background is completely dried, then I can come in and use the stencil. This is actually a different background that I had created, and I'm going to attach my stencil to my YUPO paper. I like to attach my stencil to the paper and not my mat, just so I can move it around if I need to. You could trim the YUPO paper down if you wanted to. I'm opting to just attach the entire stencil to this, and I'm going to use some purple tape to hold that in place. I would say with the alcohol ink background, I probably left it about a half hour to fully dry, and it'll be ready to use. Just depends on how much alcohol you had used or how much solution you had used. So now that that is secure, I can start working on my stenciling. This is one I had done using the Glimmer Paste Moonstone. It's kind of an iridescent, so it's taking on more of the color of the background. What I'm going to show you is some silver. Now, Moonstone is definitely one of my all-time favorite glimmer pastes, but my silver glimmer paste was calling out to me. It wanted some attention. It wanted some love. So I'm just taking my spatula and I'm going to put a generous amount on my spatula and start slowly spreading this down my stencil. Now I'm being real careful. I don't want to pick up any edges of the stencil since this is kind of delicate in some areas. So I'm just smoothing this all the way down. I am leaving a generous coat over most of it. And once I have a good amount on there, I'll come back through and scrape it a little bit and kind of move it down towards the bottom of the stencil, filling in any of those snowflakes I may have missed. One thing I do want to caution on is when you're cleaning, as soon as you're done with your stencil, you want to wash this immediately. Some people say to just let it soak in a sink. I personally say wash it immediately. If you kind of rub it off in water and let it sit, that glitter is going to settle and still be stuck to your stencil. So take this to the sink and wash it off immediately, and then you can just let it air dry. So once I have all of my silver glimmer paste on there, I can carefully remove this, and you're going to see these gorgeous snowflakes in silver. And you can see that is just covered with glitter. So also what I have here is the Mary script die, and I also did the backer out of Vellum. The Mary script I did 3 times out of some white cardstock, and I'm going to stack these up using some liquid glue and my tweezers. I like to use a post-it note just to kind of catch any extra glue that may come off. That just kind of saves time cleaning it off of my mat and having to scrape it off. So I'm just going to go ahead and stack these, and this is going to give it a really nice layered dimensional look. On one of my cards, I did use a glitter cardstock on top of one of them. So there's a couple different ways. I'm going to do something different with this one once I get to the card process. So you could see I did go ahead and attach that to the vellum. And this is the other one I had used with the glitter cardstock on top. So there's lots of different ways you can do this. This is where the Christmas sentiment came from. It is from the Make It Merry stamp set. And all I had done was heat emboss this. So I am going to make another sentiment. I'm using my MISTI tool, and when you're using your MISTI tool with the tailored expression stamps, since they are a red rubber stamp, I remove that pad in my MISTI tool so that there's enough room to stamp. I had prepped my black cardstock with an anti-static powder tool, stamped in Versamark, and I'm just going to heat emboss this with some white embossing powder. Now if there are any little speckles left over stuck to your cardstock, you can remove that with a paintbrush. Just brush those away, and then I can come in and heat this up. And that really stands out nice against the black cardstock. Another trick I like to do is once that's done, I come in with a Swiffer cloth, and that just kind of removes any of that powder that remains from the anti-static powder tool. So here are the 2 backgrounds I created. One is using the Moonstone glimmer paste. The other one is using the silver glimmer paste. I did let these sit for probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours while I ran and got the kids from school. I let them sit. So then I could come in and just trim these down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I do like to use that tonic trimmer because it cuts really well through that glimmer paste, which is kind of textured. And then I just take this and I'm lining up where I want my sentiments to go and my die cut. Once that's ready, or I feel comfortable with where I want to place these, I'm coming in with some liquid glue and my tweezers, and I'm applying that liquid glue right over where the scripty letters are. That way it's not going to show through on the vellum. So it kind of hides it, and you still have this gorgeous vellum backer to it. And I'm just going to hold that down with a block to make sure that sticks really well to my textured background. I'll do the same thing to my other card. So these both look pretty similar. There's just different things you could change about it, whether it's the color of the background or what I'm going to do to the Mary in the end. For the small strips of sentiments that I cut down, I'm just adding some foam tape to give it a little bit of dimension. I cut little strips and adding those to the back. and then I can go ahead and attach those to my cards as well. And I'm such a fan of using tweezers when it comes to my cards because it keeps my fingers out of the way and just helps me line everything up so it's nice and straight. And just look how that shines. The stencil is gorgeous. I have a lot of stencils and I honestly don't have a lot of Snowflake stencils, so this is a great addition to the collection. Now on this Mary that I had left white, I'm coming in with a shimmer pen. And it's really hard to see on camera, but it does leave a sparkle to it. This is, like I said, in case maybe you don't have some glitter cardstock, you could look around for if you have a shimmer pen or maybe a glitter gel pen you could add on top of that. So I did go over that, coat that really well. And that has a nice sparkle to it. You could leave it as is. Not sure if you could see it there, but in person it really sparkles. So you could leave it just like that. I'm going to take it one step further and I'm adding some crystal glaze on top. So this is just a clear glaze you could put on top of anything. With adding it on top of that shimmer pen, it just really enhances the sparkle, gives it a little bit more shine and dimension to the card. And then I definitely suggest setting this off on the side for a few hours or overnight to make sure it dries thoroughly. You don't want to set anything on top of that. I know from experience. You want to make sure it dries really well. And then once I have that finished, we'll take a look at all of the cards that I had done. So this is with the silver glimmer paste. This was the first card I had made when I was playing with this stencil set. So like I said, the alcohol inks, they're never the same when you're using them. They always come out different. And then here is the other one I had made with the Moonstone glimmer paste. So I really hope you enjoyed all of these cards. This is a fabulous stencil, fabulous die set to use. I will have all of the supplies listed down below in the video description and on my blog as well. So be sure to head over to Tailored Expressions and pick that up. I want to thank Taylor for sending me these products to play with. These are fabulous products to work with, so I definitely enjoyed myself doing it. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll catch you next time.